Jump or slump? Or slump or jump. You can do it either way. Harry, let's start with you. Aaron Rodgers will be coming off a season-ending Achilles injury. Will we see him slump or jump in 2024?
I'm going to go slump. I just don't believe in
What does that even mean?
How can he
didn't even play last year.
How can y'all continuously ask me questions on Get Up, and I give y'all my answers, and y'all don't let me finish?
Let me ask you a question. He didn't even play last year. Slumping from what?
From his last year playing.
Two snaps.
So you're telling me that you think things are going to go badly for Aaron Rodgers and the Jets in 2024?
Yes, I don't believe in that offensive line. I don't believe in Nathaniel Hackett as a play caller.
You had off season yet.
I understand. But we're asking the question for right now.
We're going to change your name to Buck Nasty, the world's greatest hater.
Talk to me, Bartholomew. Tell him why he's wrong. Tell him why Aaron Rodgers is leading the Jets to the playoffs next year.
Because, listen, if it's war, they win just 3 games, just 3 more games, they would have been in the playoffs. I think his war is worth that. I think he's showing you that he is the system. Talking to Garrett Wilson yesterday, he talks about how he changes everything. He is the system. That's the problem. Now, I did think that the Jets made a major mistake, and they're going to have to go out and get a great backup. They're also going to have to make sure that they have to tap into this coaching pool that's out there. They got to get somebody that's a coordinator in waiting, because I think Nathaniel Hackett is just a coordinator for Aaron Rodgers.
Yeah.
So you go out and you upgrade.
I want to know what Woody thinks.
They could have had an Arthur Smith. Well, at least we ain't making a back page like Dallas.
I want
to know what Woody thinks.
I do too. And I want to know, most importantly, here's the most important question. You were a great offensive lineman for a long time in the NFL. Mm-hmm. That is the one thing Aaron Rodgers is going to need more than anything else. His offensive line by the end of the season was catastrophically bad.
Yeah.
Can you rebuild that? I think they need 4 new linemen. Can you rebuild that in one season?
Need 2.
Listen, it's going to be a tall task. I mean, for a group that has not been, since this regime has been together, they have not been healthy up front. Not 1 year on the offensive line. They need that in the worst way with a 41-year-old quarterback coming off of Achilles. It's going to make or break their season.
Greeny, can I go back to the great Damon Woody offensive lineman, right? You drafted 2, correct?
Nick Mango and DeBrickashaw.
And you bought 2, right?
Yeah.
Anakin and yourself.
Mm-hmm.
The Jets already got Veer Tucker. He has to stay healthy. I know that's
He's never healthy.
I know that's a big thing. But Tippmann showed that he can play. And now they have draft capital to draft 1 and buy 1.
I hope so.
Woody, do you believe the Jets will make the playoffs in 2024?
Well, I'm going to say this. Not to toot my own horn, but they got a long way to go before they even remotely close to what we were during that time.
That is true.
Right.
Do you believe they will make the playoffs this year?
But it's free agents out there.
Yes or no?
No.
You don't think they can win 3 more wins than what they had this year?
Each year, each team is different.
Who are you?
Let me move on to the next one. Damian Woody, I'll start this one with you. Jordan Love led the Packers to the playoffs in his first season as starter. Will he slump or jump in 2024?
Oh, this jump, baby. I mean, if there's a guy that I'm putting money on for like early MVP next year, he's the guy. That's the guy right there. Because, listen, not only did we see the jump, particularly in the second half of the season, but this is the youngest team in the NFL, especially at the skill position. They played a bunch of rookies and second-year guys. Imagine the jump that all of them are going to make going into next year. He's the one.
You hear that, Greeny?
Yeah.
No faith in your quarterback.
Right.
Lots of faith in the Packers.
The one who trained him. Who trained him to do that?
You talking about the one who made the playoffs this year?
and won a playoff game and looked really good in both his playoff games, despite the bad pick he threw at the end in San Francisco. Harry, I'll ask you, are you on board with, there's sort of now a growing narrative.
Yep.
The Packers have done it again. They went Favre to Rodgers, and now Rodgers to Love is going to feel somewhat similar. It's impossible to put those expectations on Jordan Love. I mean, Aaron Rodgers, a top 10 quarterback all time. But as far as having a top-level, top-tier quarterback now for a decade plus, have the Packers done it again?
100%. Greeny, his last 10 games, he threw for over 2,100 yards and I believe 21 touchdowns and 3 interceptions. That's including the playoffs. Mm-hmm. The young man is on a tear right now, and like Woody mentioned, that young cast that he has around them, those guys are able to grow together. The best thing that could have happened to them in 2023 is making the playoffs, getting that experience, not 1 playoff game, but 2. And they actually should have won the one that they lost.
And will he slump or jump next year?
I mean, I think he's jumping. I think he's going to be right back. This team, the core, still together. But I think the addition to Kellen Moore, being able to open the field up. So now it's not just these short routes. It's going to be shifts, motions. We saw what he did in Dallas. We saw what he did with the Chargers. And the fact that Vic Fangio's there means that defense is going to come back, which is going to give them short fields and opportunities. The weakness of this team last year was their coaching staff. They've improved it with veterans that are proven and show that they can do it at a major way.
It's worth pointing out that Jalen Hurts has had different offensive coordinators throughout his whole career. I mean, look at this time here. Again, it was Doug Peterson who called the offensive plays in 2020 when he took over late in the year. So this will be, for all intents and purposes, the third different offensive coordinator he's had in a 4-season career. What impact does that have?
And I'm glad we're talking about that context, because even, a different quarterback like a Baker Mayfield, the same thing. We have to understand that every time you change the system, it does set these guys back. And a lot of people thought, the Eagles, they're going to be fine. Lose both coordinators, but, Nick Sirianni, he has it down. This offense is going to say the same. Well, this offense did not look anything like last year. But I think for Jalen, the competitor that he is, he had the injury. This was a weird year for Jalen. I think he will bounce back. I also think everybody's on notice in Philly. Nick Sirianni, the quarterback, the roster, the coordinators that they bring in. I think this is a pivotal year. We talk a lot about Mike McCarthy, but this is also a pivotal year for Nick Sirianni, because he sat there at that presser and says, hey, just essentially, I'm confident that I have answers, even though he didn't provide answers as to how it all fell apart.
What do you got?
Only because their future head coach, if Sirianni struggles, is right there in Kellen Moore. Moore. He's been a candidate, and if this offense flourishes like all his offenses have, then you have the future right there in-house and a cheap option.
I also think it's imperative for them, from an offensive standpoint, you got to figure out what your identity is going to be. That's something that was up in the air with the Philadelphia Eagles.
What should it be?
Well, be running the ball, that great offensive line, and play action behind.
Here's the thing, though. You got to figure out who's going to be your running back, because they got like 3 running backs that are free agents this year. You figure out who your back is. Kelsey's probably not coming back. But I agree with you. If you cannot rush the football, in which the Dallas Cowboys could not do,
well, you're one-dimensional.
You're not going to win a Super Bowl in today's game.
Their offensive line is getting old. You mentioned Jason Kelsey may retire, and all those guys who have been so good are getting old as they are. And then Jalen Hurts wasn't as much a part of the run game last year as he had been the year before.
I mean, will we say that Jalen Hurts, is that fair, is as good as Dak Prescott? Can we make that comp? So we were comparing apples to apples when you think about what Dak was underneath Kellen Moore.
Yeah.
He should, Jalen Hurts should be every bit, because I think their team is a little bit more complete when you think about the weapons in A.J. Brown.
Quick final word, quick.
I think the main difference is that with Kellen Moore, you're going to see quarterback under center a lot more. Mm-hmm. Okay, and we saw with Jalen Hurts throughout his career, he's been in shotgun. Mm-hmm. What is that going to look like now with Kellen Moore? Like, are they going to incorporate quarterback runs more? How is that going to look? That's my main question.
We'll start to find out. Harry, give me something bold. Look into the crystal ball. Give me a bold offseason prediction.
I'm going to go to Dallas Cowboys. Either Saquon Barkley or Derrick Henry, they're going to add these guys to their run game so they can be balanced offensively and not one-dimensional and just pass the football all over the place.
I like it. I think we were calling for Derrick Henry before the trade deadline. Saquon would be an unbelievable addition in a lot of places. Kmart, give me an off-season bold prediction.
Here we go. Listen to me loud, Greeny. The Pittsburgh Steelers will trade for Justin Fields. They will learn from their mistakes. They will not listen to Harry's nonsense, his crazy talk. They will understand that they need a clear, long-term succession plan at QB, not some aging vet like Russell Wilson or Ryan Tannehill. No, get me a young guy that you can have at QB for several years, Harry.
I want to come back to that.
Attack, Greeny.
And understandably so. Bartholomew, give me a bold prediction.
Yeah. From Harry's mouth to God's ears. Justin Fields to the Dirty Birds. I think that, welcome back, welcome home. The RPO game with him and Bijan Robinson back there will be dynamic like the Michael Vick days. I think they'll lead the league in rushing and really be able to have a great play-action game. Harry put it in the prayer box, and God can answer.
Along with that computer fund.
Our producer, Julian, let's come back to Justin Fields today on that decision. A little bit later, let's come back to that later this morning. But, D. Wood, I'll give you the final bold prediction of the top of the hour here.
2024 would be Dak Prescott's last year in Dallas.
Yep.
Yes. I mean, listen, we got CeeDee Lamb's folks, talking bad about Dak. We got Michael Parsons' brother talking bad about Dak. And listen, at the end of the day, we haven't heard anything from Dak Prescott, but you better believe he's just kind of sitting back and just listening to what everybody's saying, knowing that at the end of the day, it doesn't matter what any of y'all say, because I hold all the cards. I hold whether I want to redo my deal or take this thing all the way to free agency. He has that type of leverage.
Those are the cards. What you are looking at there is the football equivalent of a royal flush. He has a cap number of $59.5 million this year. He has final authority on trades. He cannot be franchise tagged. That's as good a hand as you can possibly hold.